Well, the first day of the Papal Conclave has ended without a new pope, and that is expected early on, we should point out.
Wanted to give you a live look at the Vatican in Rome right now. All is quiet out there. As you can see, it was a much different scene about 2 hours ago. In fact, we saw black smoke billowing from the chimney. Of course, this means no decision has been made as of yet.
Yeah, it took them a while, too. You can see the sun setting there. You can barely make out that black smoke. Now we want to get some perspective about this process from a local expert.
That's right. Let's bring in Joseph Capizzi. He is the Dean and Professor of Moral Theology and Ethics at Catholic University. Joe, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
I wanted to ask you, let's talk about the conclave, because we just saw the black smoke, and I wanted to touch on that because cardinals only voted once today. Recent historic precedents, they've been voting, multiple times a day. Was it weird to you that they only had one vote?
No, the first day of the conclave unfolds exactly as it did today, which is a kind of later start to everything. They convened, processed in around 4:30 their time, and had the one vote. So that's pretty custom at this point. And then tomorrow they'll commence the 4 votes a day, or as many as they need until they elect the Pope.
So it seemed like this vote today was a little later than usual, Joe. Is there anything to glean from that?
Yeah, so the announcement was later than usual, right? I think everybody kind of anticipated about an hour and a half earlier we would see some smoke, but it took a long time. I think one thing to sort of conclude from this is 133, cardinals walking up, to turn in a vote takes a long time. So I think, we're seeing that this is the largest conclave ever. And these are not young men. They're not spry men. It takes a little while for them to, march forward with their votes. So it just took a lot longer than anybody anticipated. And a lot of people waited around, like you said, into the dusk of the evening to see the black smoke.
There's a lot of speculation, of course, who could be next, right? That's natural. And Pope Francis worked really hard to diversify the College of Cardinals during his time as Pope. He appointed cardinals from Africa, South Africa, Asia. Will the next Pope share his more progressive ideals, do you think? Or where do you think the whole College of Cardinals is going to go?
So I think everybody agrees it's going to be really unpredictable. One of the virtues of his appointments were, as you said, that their diversity. Many more people from Asia and Africa than ever before, and of course Latin Americans as well. But his appointment of those people meant also he wasn't appointing people who were ideologically on the same page with him, right? He was more concerned that the cardinals represent the current face of the church. It's growing most in Africa, for instance. So there ought to be more cardinals coming from Africa. So to some extent, he sacrificed, if he was interested in any sort of securing of a kind of ideological, continuity with the next man. He really was more interested in the church expressing the face of, the cardinals expressing the face of the church.
Yeah, and Joe, how much do these cardinals know about each other going in? Because it is much more diverse now. I take it that makes this much more complicated, right?
I think it does, and some of these appointments were relatively recent, right within the past few months. So some of these guys, had never seen each other before. At this point, my guess is they're getting quite familiar with each other. They've already been together for over a week. They've, had many meals together at this point, and probably even some frustrations. That they're all cooped up together. They're going to have to entertain each other. So I think at this point they're probably getting to know each other pretty well, and they're having, you're probably seeing coalesce certain agreements about where, the church ought to go, the sort of man who can lead the church in that direction, and so on.
There's a lot of people watching Conclave right now, trying to see if it extrapolates into this scenario here. Joseph Capizzi, the Dean and Professor of Moral Theology and Ethics at Catholic University. Thank you for your time and expertise on this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. We will have coverage every day of the Papal Conclave for as long as it takes until a new pope is chosen. Before tomorrow's coverage, tune in to Get Up DC. Catholic University professor Dr. Kurt Martins will join our morning team starting at 6:30 a.m. You can watch it all right here on WUSA 9.
Just want to say Kurt Martins is amazing. You do not want to miss that interview.
You spoke with him last time, right?
So
everything
good.
he had to say. Yes.
He's the watch. So that's our sell.